Hi, John Sartin with the Rio Grande Jewelry Tech team. Here today to show you how to use your L45 hydrogen torch and talk a little bit about maintenance. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is make sure that the machine, the power knob is in the 0 position, so the power knob is off. And then we're going to flip the switch on. You're going to hear your fan kick on, and now the machine is actually starting to generate hydrogen. The next thing you want to do is install a burner tip on your torch. What I've got here, I've got the green burner tip. This burner tip is the largest burner tip that is available for the L45. On the top of the machine, it shows the power ratings that you want to set these tips to. So the green tip is 6 to 10. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to set it to 10. So I'm going to max out the tip. After just a few minutes, you should start feeling a pretty good flow of hydrogen out of this tip. One thing you want to make sure that you do have a good flow of hydrogen before you actually light the torch, because you don't want to cause a flashback. So this is producing a pretty good flow of hydrogen, so I'm going to go ahead and light the torch now. And I'm going to put on some safety glasses. One thing about this particular torch, and something like a oxyacetylene torch or oxypropane torch, is you cannot adjust the gases independently. You can't increase fuel to get a reducing flame. You can't increase oxygen to get a oxidizing flame. So you can't play with the flame temperature like you do on a normal torch. It doesn't matter if you're at power 10 or if you're at power 6. Even though the flame is going to get smaller, it's not going to be any cooler than a number set at number 10. So I've got a ring here that I've getting ready to solder. I've got some flux already on it, and I've got my solder chips in place. And the way that you control the heat on this torch, instead of like I talked about, playing with the different fuels, is you're going to either be closer to your object or further away from your object. The closer that you are to the object, the hotter the object is going to get, the quicker it's going to get hot. The further away you are, the cooler the object is, and the longer it's going to take to solder. So let's see if I can get my cameraman to bring the camera up over here and get a shot of this. And we'll go ahead and solder this ring. Now with this flame, you can see that you're not getting as much oxidation as you would out of a normal torch. And that's because of the boric acid and methyl alcohol flux that you added to the machine. Whenever you get ready to shut this torch off, you're not going to reach over here and just flip the switch on the machine. You need to turn it off at the handle. In the previous video I talked about it, and there is no on and off valve on this torch handle. It's constantly producing hydrogen. And to shut this torch off, you grab a hold of the torch in one hand, grab a hold of the stem in the other hand, and push the stem into the torch. It's spring-loaded, so it automatically shuts the flow of hydrogen through the handle, and it'll kill your flame. As soon as you let it go, it's starting to run hydrogen out of the tip again. Okay. One thing that's really handy is actually a torch stand. This torch stand is available separately, and it's very handy for this specific torch. Okay, now that we know how to use the torch, we need to discuss a few of the safety items. I'm going to fire the torch back up, so turn it into the 0 position first, turn it on, and then I'm going to turn it up to 10, and I'm going to wait for the flow of hydrogen. So one of the main safety items is you never want to light this torch too soon. You want to make sure that there is a good flow of hydrogen out of the tip. Another one is you never want to run tips too low on their power setting. And I'll go ahead and light this and I'll show you what I mean. This is the green tip that we were just using to solder. It's on a 10 power setting, and for the green tip it is a power setting between 6 and 10. I'm going to turn this back to about 4. You're going to see the flame decrease. It's going to get smaller and smaller in size. And as this flame is decreasing, you're going to start noticing that the very tip of your needle is going to start to heat up and turn red and glow. What's happening is actually the flame is trying to find more hydrogen. And since you're not pushing enough pressure out with your power setting, it's starting to feed back into the tip. This actually, going too long, this can actually cause a flashback. So you never want to run your tips at a power setting that is less than what is recommended by the manufacturer. Another thing that will happen is if you're running your tip too low and you're not producing enough hydrogen for this specific tip, the tip will actually melt, and it'll get hot enough that the needle will heat up and it'll melt off the plastic housing. And this is what causes those issues. Okay? So I'm going to extinguish the flame, and then I'm going to turn it off. Now let's talk about some common maintenance that you're going to have to do with the machine. One of the common things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to refill your electrolyte tank. This is actually still good. The red light's on, but if the red light was on and the yellow light was glowing, then that's going to alert you that you need to refill your tank. To do that, you need to make sure that the machine has been off for at least 45 minutes. Now, the only thing that you're going to be refilling your tank with is going to be distilled water, because the amount of electrolyte that you mixed up to initially start the machine up, the 180 grams, is good for a year. You won't have to change that out for 12 months. But there is a procedure that you have to follow, and that procedure is, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your booster tank off. Okay? So we're going to take the booster tank off. And this is a good time to also fill your flux. And then we can go ahead and remove the safety cap. The reason that you're doing it in this manner is if you remove the safety cap with the booster tank on, there is still a little bit of a vacuum in the machine, even though it has been setting for about 45 minutes. And if you open this up, what that causes is it will cause flux to actually go back into the machine, into the electrolyte tank, and then you're going to have to replace your electrolyte because now your electrolyte's killed. Okay? So always remember, take the booster tank off first and then open your safety cap. Open the safety cap. I'll just go through the motions here. Open the safety cap. Turn the machine into the fill position, and then you would fill it up with distilled water until your red light's illuminated. And then you can put your torch back together and continue with your soldering. Now, it depends on how much you use this, but this is something that could actually be taken care of every morning. Whenever you first come in, before you start the torch up, go ahead and turn it into the fill position, and it will tell you what if it's full or not. If this light is yellow, then you want to go ahead and fill up the tank. Okay? We'll go ahead and put that back on. And now you're ready to get back to soldering. I hope this video has been helpful, and if you have any questions, please contact us.